I think today I didn't really handle myself quite well, mentally, I would say. So basically that's it. I was just making unforced errors. Like, I don't know, I have to check the statistics. I think she won the match not because she played incredible, just because I made all of those mistakes from, like, if you look from the outside, kind of like from an easy balls.
The tennis world just got flipped upside down again, but this time, it's not about rankings, trophies, or rivalries. It's about something far bigger. A moment caught on camera has sparked one of the most divisive scandals the sport has seen in years, and at the center of it all are two of the WTA's biggest names, Coco Gauff and Aryna Sabalenka. What started as a simple semi-final match quickly turned into a global controversy, igniting debates about respect, accountability, and the silent double standards in women's tennis.
Yeah, that hurts. I mean, especially when you've been playing really great tennis during the whole week. You know, you've been playing against a lot of tough opponents, Olympic champion Iga, you know, and then you go out and you play really bad. Like, I don't know, I think if Iga would win me another day, I think she would go out today and she would get the win.
Fans are furious, players are choosing sides, and the WTA completely silent. But silence won't work this time, because Coco Gauff just broke hers, and what she said is shaking the entire sport to its core. Do you think the WTA will finally take action, or will this be another case of sweeping it under the rug? Let's find out.
Congratulations, Coco. When Aryna sat here, she said that she thinks if Iga had won her, she wins the thing today because of how the match turned up. Do you think the way you play today, you beat anyone? It doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net?
She said if Iga won, if I play Iga in the final.
She said that if we go, she didn't mention exactly winning you, but she said if Iga won me, she would win the thing.
I mean, I don't agree with that. I'm here sitting here, and last time I played, no, like to Iga or anything, but I played her and I won in straight sets. So, yeah, I don't think that's a fair thing to say.
It began as just another high-stakes semi-final. The Wuhan Open, bright lights, packed stands, and two of the fiercest competitors in the sport. Coco Gauff, the rising American star with nerves of steel, and Aryna Sabalenka, the world #1 known for her explosive power and fiery temper. Everything about this match screamed classic. Fans expected long rallies, big serves, and a dramatic finish, but nobody could have predicted what was about to unfold.
Because anything can really happen, and yeah, honestly, I mean, the way Aryna was playing the last few weeks, she was the favorite to win. So I think she was the best person that I could have played in the final. Her being #1 in the world, she was the best person to play. So I think I got the hardest matchup just if you go off stats alone. Obviously, Iga being a champion here.
From the outside, it looked like a normal match. Aryna was frustrated, Coco was focused, and the crowd was electric. Yet in one split second, a missed point, a muttered comment, something changed. Cameras caught Sabalenka saying something under her breath, something that at first seemed like just another emotional outburst. Players mutter all the time, right? But this time, it wasn't frustration. It was something darker. At first, nobody noticed. The match went on. Coco stayed composed. Aryna fought back. And when it was over, the headlines were about the score. But hours later, fans began slowing down the footage, replaying the audio, enhancing the sound, and what they uncovered sent shockwaves through the tennis world.
I mean, she's probably emotional about it, so I'm not gonna take it with too much anything. And I do hope people give her a little bit of...
What they heard wasn't just trash talk. It was racist. Not subtle, not misunderstood. Clear. And that's when everything exploded. The moment fans posted that clip online, everything changed. Within hours, social media lit up. At first, the comment threads were filled with confusion. People asking, wait, what did she just say? Then came the slowed-down versions, the audio enhancements, the side-by-side breakdowns. Suddenly, there was no denying it. Aryna Sabalenka's words weren't misheard or taken out of context. They were cruel, targeted, and unmistakable. Hashtags like #StandWithCoco and #NoRoom for racism in tennis started trending within minutes.
You talk about the power of social media to help tell your story, but do you think at the end of the day you're still a little bit misunderstood for who you are?
No, I think I think nowadays people know me as a player and as a person. Like, I feel like people know that, okay, of course she's aggressive, she's passionate, she's focused, and she's fighting for her dream, but also, of course, she's fun and she's nice, she's chill, and she's a completely different person. So I think now people knows me. Maybe like that little situation after French Open, some people don't really understand the intensity of everything, and that you lose the final of the biggest tournament, and then you go to the media straight away, and you're so like frustrated, so like pissed on yourself, and you're just trying to figure what just happened, and you don't think clean, and then you make this comment, and people go like, like they forget completely about like who you are like the rest of the time.
Fans demanded answers. Commentators who usually stayed neutral were suddenly speechless on air. Even players began quietly unfollowing Sabalenka's account. But the loudest noise came from what wasn't being said: the complete silence from the WTA. No statement, no investigation, no acknowledgement. It was as if they hoped the outrage would fade away. But this wasn't something you could just ignore. The clip had already hit millions of views, and fans weren't letting go.
See someone fail and like take it as the main thing, So after that, I also had to sit back and reflect on everything and apologize and make sure that people understand my point, that it was just, I was over emotional, I was completely wrong. So after that also took me a little while to explain myself a little bit better. But now I think people understand me even better. And also it was a tough lesson, but it helped me a lot in so many different ways. And right now I don't feel like people still misunderstand me. I feel like now they know me even better.
And right in the middle of that storm was Coco Gauff. Calm, quiet, and deliberate. No public reaction, no interviews, no emotional outburst. She didn't say a word for almost 24 hours, but when she finally did, she said something that would echo across every corner of the sport. As the video spread like wildfire, the entire tennis world seemed to split in two. On one side were furious fans demanding consequences, calling out the WTA for staying silent and accusing the organization of protecting its stars. On the other, a small group of defenders tried to downplay what happened, saying Aryna was emotional, that it was lost in translation, or that people were reading too much into it. But nobody was buying it. Commentators refused to look the other way. Talk shows and podcasts picked up the story. Within hours, it wasn't just a tennis controversy. It became a global discussion about how racism still hides behind the polished image of professional sports. Even former players started speaking up, calling it a moment of reckoning for women's tennis. And yet, the WTA said nothing. No press release, no suspension, just silence. Meanwhile, reporters began asking Coco's camp for a response. But she stayed quiet. No tweets, no interviews, not even a cryptic Instagram story. Some thought she was letting her PR team handle it. Others believed she was just too hurt to speak. But people who knew Coco knew better. She doesn't react fast, she reacts right. And when she finally broke that silence, the entire room froze. When Coco Gauff finally stepped in front of the microphones, the world held its breath. Cameras flashed, reporters leaned forward, and the entire tennis community waited to see what she would say. But instead of anger or accusation, what they got was grace, calm, measured, and powerful. Coco looked straight ahead, her voice steady, and said one line that silenced the room. "I'm not here to start a war. I'm here to ask for fairness." It wasn't loud, it wasn't emotional, but it hit harder than any shout ever could, because everyone knew exactly what she meant. She wasn't just speaking for herself. She was speaking for every young athlete who's ever been disrespected, underestimated, or judged for something other than their game. Coco continued, "I've worked too hard to let my identity be reduced to a word or a stereotype. I deserve the same respect as any athlete. Nothing more, nothing less." The room went silent. No one dared interrupt. When she finished, reporters didn't rush to shout follow-up questions. Instead, they applauded. Even the journalists who usually chase controversy could feel it. This was bigger than tennis. What made her response so powerful wasn't just what she said, but how she said it. There were no cheap shots, no attempts to embarrass Aryna Sabalenka. Coco never even mentioned her name once. She didn't need to. Everyone already knew. She carried herself like someone who understood her voice mattered more than her anger. Behind the scenes, her coach later revealed that Coco had cried the night before, not because she lost, but because she felt unseen. But instead of lashing out, she turned that pain into purpose. Her mother told her something that would soon become her mantra. Grace isn't weakness, it's power under control, and that's exactly what Coco showed the world that day. Power under control, the kind that makes people listen, and forces even the most silent organizations to respond. After Coco's calm but powerful statement, the pressure shifted squarely onto Aryna Sabalenka and the WTA. For 2 long days, there was nothing, no apology, no explanation, not even a vague comment. Reporters called her team for clarification, but her agent declined to respond. Her coach wasn't available, and the WTA said the matter was under internal review. Translation: they had no idea what to do. When Aryna finally did speak, her words made things worse. In a short Instagram post, she wrote something along the lines of, "Emotions run high in matches, things can be misunderstood. I never intended to hurt anyone. Let's move forward with respect." No apology, no ownership, just a carefully worded statement that sounded more like damage control than remorse. Fans weren't having it. One person commented, "You didn't apologize, you just said you got caught," while another wrote, "You had 3 days to come up with this, and this is all you say." The internet tore the post apart, and the lack of sincerity became its own scandal. Then came the excuses. Some of Aryna's supporters tried to spin it as a miscommunication, or blamed the language barrier. They claimed she didn't mean it that way. But people saw through that instantly. You can't accidentally say racist things. Pressure doesn't make you invent words you've never believed in. It makes your true thoughts slip out. And that's what fans were reacting to. Not just the words themselves, but the attitude behind them. Meanwhile, Coco stayed silent again. No reaction, no clapbacks, just focus. Her coach later said she was training like nothing had happened, channeling everything into her game. Even her family handled it with grace. Her father told reporters, "She's not just a great player, she's a better person." That line resonated with everyone who'd been following the story. Because while one side was fumbling with excuses, Coco was showing what accountability and strength really look like. And as the days passed, something shifted. The focus was no longer on what Aryna said, but on how Coco responded. Because while one player was trying to protect her reputation, the other was quietly building a legacy. What happened next transformed the entire narrative. Coco Gauff could have stayed angry, could have demanded punishment or boycotts, but instead, she turned that pain into something much bigger. Just weeks after the controversy, she launched an initiative called Serve Right. Its message was simple but powerful. Fairness isn't a favor, it's a right. The campaign focused on equality, inclusion, and respect for young athletes, especially those often overlooked or disrespected in their sports. The movement exploded overnight. Athletes from basketball, football, and track reposted her message. Schools began using Serve Right as a model for sportsmanship education. Kids wore the slogan on t-shirts, holding rackets and signs that read, "Play hard, respect harder." What started as a painful controversy had now become a cultural movement, and at its center stood a 20-year-old athlete who handled hate with grace and turned it into growth. Even the WTA couldn't ignore her anymore. Under mounting public pressure, they released a formal statement announcing that new cultural awareness and respect training would be introduced for all players and staff. It was corporate, cautious, and overdue, but it was a start. And everyone knew who was responsible for that change: Coco Gauff. But while she was using her voice to create progress, Aryna Sabalenka's team was still trying to do damage control. Reports surfaced that she had privately apologized to Coco, though nothing was ever confirmed. Some journalists tried to reignite the drama, pressing Coco for comments, but she refused to take the bait. Her only response was calm and consistent. "I've said what I needed to say. I'm focused on tennis now." That's what separated her from everyone else. While Aryna's camp was tangled in PR spin, Coco was out on the court doing what she does best, winning. Match after match, she proved that her silence was more powerful than any speech. Each victory felt symbolic, as if every serve and every rally was a quiet reminder that dignity always outlasts drama. And soon people realized Coco wasn't just playing tennis anymore. She was leading by example. Every time she stepped onto the court, fans weren't just cheering for points, they were cheering for what she represented: respect, equality, and unshakable composure. She'd become more than a player, she was a message. In the end, Coco Gauff didn't just win matches, she won respect. What began as a painful controversy turned into a defining moment for women's tennis. While Aryna Sabalenka's image struggled to recover, Coco's reputation soared. She never needed revenge or drama, just grace, focus, and quiet strength. When she lifted the Miami Open trophy weeks later, she looked into the camera and said, "Winning is great, but standing for something bigger than yourself, that's what lasts." That single line summed up everything. Coco showed that you don't need to shout to make history. In a sport built on silence between serves, she proved that the loudest statement you can make is made with dignity.